Number 9. Killer Cruise. Wedding anniversaries definitely call for a celebration. They're a pleasant reminder of a couple's journey together. But here's a story of one couple whose anniversary turned into a tragedy. A 43-year-old Utah man named Kenneth Manzanares killed his wife Christy while on an Alaska cruise in July of 2017. The family was on a 7-day trip for their wedding anniversary on board the Emerald Princess cruise liner when an unexpected quarrel broke out between them. The 39-year-old mother of 3 beautiful girls was found dead in a family's cruise cabin, with a grievous wound on her head. During the argument, Kenneth apparently became distressed when his wife asked for a divorce. Seeing their parents quarrel, one of the daughters dashed out of the cabin, calling for help. A witness recalled that when he entered the cabin, the first thing he saw was Christy lying on the floor, soaked in a pool of blood. Kenneth had blood splashed all over his body, and he was standing alongside her with absolutely no remorse. When questioned, Kenneth coldly replied that, quote, she could not stop laughing, quote, at him. Yeah, now that sounds like the perfect motive to kill someone. Following the incident, the cruise liner offered condolences via a public statement. As for Kenneth, he was taken into custody and sentenced to 30 years in prison. In just 3, he was found unresponsive in an Alaskan jail on July 27th of 2021. He was pronounced dead shortly after. Apparently, when his sentence was issued in court, he said, quote, his life is over. Well, now we know for sure that it is indeed over. Number 8. Kidnapped. Traveling can teach you a lot of things. You don't just get to explore a new place, you're also exposed to the diverse culture, cuisine, and local criminals. This is exactly what happened with an American tourist while on safari in a wildlife sanctuary. But guess what? The tourist wasn't the only one who suffered. Her local guide too had to deal with the consequences alongside her. Kimberly Endicott and Jean-Paul Moranger, a Ugandan tour guide, were kidnapped at gunpoint from Queen Elizabeth National Park. They were imprisoned for 5 days by their captors in 2019. It was a dream trip for Kimberly, who always wanted to watch gorillas at the popular park. Unfortunately, her dream soon turned into a kidnapping nightmare. When Kimberly and Moranger started their trip to the national park along with 2 other Canadian tourists, they found themselves surrounded by 4 gunmen. The gunmen grabbed Kim and her guide and quickly got away with the safari vehicle into the dense woods. The elderly Canadians who were released managed to contact a camp manager who alerted Ugandan police immediately. The best military personnel and police were dispatched to scan the lengths of the 764 square mile or just under 2,000 square kilometer sanctuary that borders Congo. The security team cut all borders between the Congo and Uganda. The kidnappers used Kim's phone to demand a ransom amount of about $500,000 or just under £400,000 and also confirmed both hostages were unharmed and safe while the safari truck was found abandoned in the forest much later with its keys missing. The U.S. Department of State monitored all of the proceedings of the rescue operations very closely, and after 5 days of negotiations, both of the hostages were released. It's still unclear how much was paid to assure their release and who paid that amount. The President of the United States pitched in to tweet about the rescue operation, thanking the police for their support and protection upon the release of the American tourist and her safari guide. The camp authorities have since released a statement that such incidents were isolated and camps are ideally safe for visiting travelers. Number 7. Honeymoon Killer. What's the next big thing after the wedding? The honeymoon, of course. But here's a couple whose honeymoon turned horrific. 34-year-old Gabe Watson and 26-year-old Tina Thomas got married on October 11th of 2003 in Birmingham, Alabama. Watson went to great lengths to plan their ideal honeymoon, and the newlyweds traveled across the globe to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Tina was not an expert diver, but had 11 dives under her belt. But she wasn't skillful in open waters. On the ill-fated day of October 23rd, with blind trust in her new husband, who was a qualified scuba diver, Tina took the 50-foot or just over 15-meter dive, which is typically reserved for divers with much more experience. Needless to say, it was her final dive. Tina drowned in the deep blue waters of the reef. Watson, who was clearly the prime suspect, tried to brush things off. He said that Tina willingly took the dive and was excited beyond measure. The Australian police didn't buy his story, because it was later found out that Watson had a premeditated motive to kill his wife of just 11 days in order to collect her life insurance policy and the travel benefits. The amount was estimated to be $210,000. The autopsy, as per the prosecutors, revealed that Watson turned off Tina's air supply and squeezed the breath out of her till she lost consciousness and sank. It took 6 years and video footage captured by a fellow diver that showed Tina's lifeless body lying on the seabed to punish Watson. He was found guilt-ridden at a Brisbane court and sentenced to 4 years in prison. Number 6. Newlyweds tragically killed. Unlike the previous honeymoon killer, here's a story of a newlywed woman who sued the Royal Caribbean for a terrible ziplining adventure that killed her husband. The newlywed couple, Sheer Frankel, 27, and Egal Tiesman, 24, were enjoying their Royal Caribbean honeymoon cruise to the Honduran Islands in 2018. To explore and create memories of a lifetime, the couple arranged for a fun ziplining excursion through the cruise liner's site. The attraction, which they expected to be exciting and fun, turned out to be deadly. The couple booked the extreme Caribe zip line for their day out. Frankel was the first one to go through the line. Weirdly, she reached the midway point and came to a complete stop. What's worse is that she started coming back towards the starting point. It's important to understand that while being suspended on a zip line, we have absolutely no control over the speed or direction we're headed. Ideally, it's supposed to be unidirectional, but things went wild in this case. Assuming Frankel had reached the end and unaware of her speeding right back towards them, the guide sent Tiesman down the line. Tiesman chose the plank position and was unable to see anything ahead. He picked up speed down the incline and literally slammed his head into his wife, leading to a mid-air death. Frankel was also seriously wounded. The couple had no idea the excursion was handled by an individual contractor and not the cruise liner itself. Frankel took legal action against Royal Caribbean and sued the liner for $1 million in a Miami federal court. According to a report, the Royal Caribbean spokesperson confirmed that the company hasn't submitted an answer of comment to the pending litigation as of 2018. Hopefully, Frankel got some type of compensation for her terrible tragedy. Number 5. Energy drink. Energy drinks have grown in popularity among teenagers and young adults. The drinks promise benefits to appearance and mental alertness. They've now taken the place of food supplements for some. But how safe are they? Here's the tragic tale of a teenage girl who bid adieu after drinking a can of Red Bull. In 2014, while on a vacation with her family and friends, 16-year-old Lana Hammond traveled to Mexico to make some beautiful memories. While at the beach with her family, she suffered from a sudden breathing problem and collapsed. The family hurried her to the hospital, but all the efforts were in vain because they couldn't save her life. It was a complete shock to her loved ones when it was revealed that she died of a sudden cardiac arrest. At first, it all seemed like a mystery. Hammond's mother was obsessed with her daughter's death and could not stop thinking about it. She thought about how dehydrated her daughter was when she collapsed and had downed multiple energy drinks during that time of the day, even a few before she collapsed. Hammond's mother believes that she died because of the Red Bull. Can caffeine kill? Yes. Consuming way beyond the recommended dosage can lead to your heart giving out. So next time you have an energy drink, make sure you space them out or stick to minimal consumption. Do you know anyone that drinks way too many energy drinks? You should warn them. And if you're liking this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Number 4. Baby dolphin. Dolphins are one of the most graceful sea animals, widely known for their helpful nature. They help wounded individuals surface and even bring them to shore. But here's a sad tale of a dolphin that was killed by tourists in Spain. In 2017, a baby dolphin got separated from its mother and was found on the Mojácar beach in Spain. Instead of informing animal rescuers, tourists surrounded the baby, started posing and manhandling it just for a few selfies. The dolphin, who was already starving and frightened after losing its mother, was suffering from extreme stress. But due to human selfishness and negligence, it had to spare its life for the tourists. Before the Equinac experts reached the beach, the poor baby was already dead. The experts reported that the tourists were not responsible for the separation of the baby dolphin from its mother, but what they could have done is just leave it be and not add to its stress. Dolphins breathe in oxygen from their blowhole, unlike fish who use gills. It's likely that the insensitive tourists would have unknowingly covered the dolphin's blowhole, which caused the poor animal to die of suffocation and shock. Number 3. Hotel worker. It's not just travelers that pose a risk of the unknown while on vacation. Locals who cater to them also share in the risk, if not more. In this story, an American tourist ended up killing a Caribbean resort worker in Anguilla. It's difficult to assert who was in the wrong. Let's find out what happened. In 2019, Gavin Hapgood, 44, a banker, planned a dream vacation with his family to Anguilla. While the family was resting and having fun in the resort room, a man named Kenny Mitchell, 27, a worker from the Malahuana resort, entered the room uninvited. Mitchell, who was in uniform, came in with a few tools and claimed he came to fix the broken sink. But the sink wasn't broken and was actually in good shape. All of a sudden, Mitchell started to attack the family violently. Hapgood, who was with his family at the time of the incident, pounced on Mitchell and hit him right back. In the event of saving himself and his family, Hapgood had to literally fight to survive. Mitchell soon died. The family's dream of enjoying their vacation quickly ended. An autopsy showed the cause of death was, quote, positional asphyxia and prone restraint, end quote. Anguilla police confirmed that there were signs of trauma to the head, abdomen, and torso. Hapgood was granted a $75,000 or just over £55,000 bond and was allowed to leave the territory after the arrest on condition that he returned to court after each subsequent hearing. Quote, Hapgood did what any parent would do, defend himself and his family, end quote, the statement said. What triggered Mitchell in the first place is still unknown, and the reason went with him to the grave. What would you do in this situation? Would you fight someone to their death? Let us know in the comments below. Number 2, tourist robs bank. You may have heard many fascinating stories of bank robberies, but here's one of an Australian tourist that robbed a bank using a fake gun just to buy a plane ticket in Bangkok. Zachary Cronin, 25, from Australia, was on vacation in Thailand for a month back in 2015. Cronin, who was staying in the Nana red light district, spent all his money and didn't have any to buy plane tickets for his way back home. In a desperate last attempt, he planned a robbery with a fake gun at a bank. He hunted for roughly 5 minutes before he chose to enter the Thanachart Bank. Wearing goggles and a black fox mask, the young man started to shout "Money, money," pointing his fake gun at the counter that immediately handed him 170,000 baht, or about $4,800 in cash. But guess what? He didn't make it far with that loot. While the young lad tried to flee, he was grabbed by the police patrol. It's believed that a bank employee hit the alarm button, and luckily a policeman was already present near the bank. Zachary was captured and punished for 10 years. No surprise why most countries ask for a proof of return ticket upon arrival. Number 1, Dominican Republic. A few stray accidents are always expected in any tourist destination, but here's a string of incidents which seem to be linked together. Cases of tourists getting sick and killed in the Dominican Republic were on the rise in 2019. Let's try to uncover a few. In May of 2019, American tourist 63-year-old Edward Nathaniel Holmes and his 49-year-old fiancée Cynthia Ann Day were on a vacation to the Dominican Republic and were staying at a luxury grand resort. The couple had been there since May 25th and were supposed to check out 5 days later. When they failed to check out, the hotel staff went looking for them. The couple were found unconscious in their room and were later confirmed dead. According to a statement from the Public Health Ministry of the Dominican Republic, there were no signs of mysterious events surrounding the deaths. It's presumed that Cynthia Ann may have died of shock after realizing her fiancé was dead. The couple had been having fun during their trip, and their social media posts say the same. The autopsies indicated that they died from pulmonary edema and respiratory failure, but officials are waiting on toxicology results. Medications used for controlling high blood pressure were found in the room. Since there were no other signs of violence, the cause of death is still remaining unknown. This isn't the first mystery death in the Dominican Republic. There have been more than 10 suspicious cases of tourists getting killed, assaulted, and dying there since 2018. Just a few months prior to this case, in January, a woman from Delaware claimed that she managed to escape an assault while on vacation in the Dominican Republic. Tammy Daly, now aged 51, apparently had her nose and hand broken and also suffered temporary hearing loss on her left side with a deep gash on her mouth. So what do you think? Is there a deeper truth, or is it a mere coincidence? We don't know for sure. Thanks for watching. Do you have any traveling horror stories? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on The Bad Badger.